This is a Rolex. And so is this. Sure, they're both good-looking watches. But why is Rolex so popular that everyone wants to own one? Today, we'll talk about why is Rolex so popular. When you think of luxury watches, chances are your mind goes straight to Rolex. For nearly 100 years, Rolex has been the luxury watch of choice for the rich and the famous. But what is it about these watches that make them so highly regarded? Let's have a quick history lesson. Rolex was originally founded in London in 1905 by Hans Wilsdorf and Alfred Davies. Before the brand became known as Rolex, it was called Wilsdorf and Davies. It wasn't until 1908 that the duo changed the brand's name and moved it to Switzerland before World War I due to the poor economic situation in post-war London. Today, Rolex has more than 500 patents to its name, and all the brand's watches are still essentially handmade. To give you an indication of their continued value, of the 10 most expensive watches ever sold at auction, 3 on that list are none other than Rolex watches. But why are people willing to shell out so much for a timepiece? Well, there are actually a few good reasons for that. 6 to be exact. Number 1, the value of Rolex watches. Think of a Rolex like you would a house in London. It's almost guaranteed to increase in value rather than decrease. Many people buy a Rolex as much as an investment as a functional watch. Some people buy a Rolex and never wear it. They just hold on until its value appreciates. Admittedly, it's more fun than shares and a smaller outlay than a house. Number 2, the quality. The reason Rolex became popular in the first place is its incredibly high quality and longevity. These watches keep time well for decades and are built to last, with sturdy construction and no unnecessary complications, plus with all the features, many of which were innovated by the brand. Rolex watches do everything you need them to, and they do it well. Features like waterproof housing, chronometer certification, automatic winding mechanism, and date windows are standard in a Rolex today. With little more than a service every few years, this is a timepiece that will just keep going and going. Number 3, the design. As well as lasting forever, a Rolex is also beautifully designed for ease of use and recognition. Every element of a Rolex carefully considered as part of the overall functionality of the timepiece. The round shape improves water resistance and legibility. The sweep seconds hand, Cyclops date magnifier, which was actually invented by Hans Wilsdorf, and the grooved bezel aid in superior timekeeping. And the distinctive oyster bracelet means even the uninitiated can spot a Rolex at 10 paces. Tiny incremental changes to the design are made carefully and only ever to improve the functionality of the watch. The Rolex brand. Having a Rolex on your wrist is a subtle way of telling the world that you're a high roller with taste and class. Everyone knows what a Rolex means, so it's immediately obvious to anyone who clocks in that you're a person of means. That said, don't point it out. You're a person of means. As a result, there's a legion of lifelong fans of the brand who debate the finer points of each model and will wax lyrical about their favorites, even though for many people they'll never actually see that watch in real life. Or some people buy a Rolex for its high quality. There are a similar number who buy a Rolex for brand recognition alone. The scarcity of Rolex watches. Nothing is more enticing to the luxury consumer than exclusivity, something Rolex knows well. Rolex only sells a limited number of each new release, especially their DNA watches, the Submariners, which are artificially restricted to drive up demand. Long waiting lists around the world make the search for a Rolex like a hunt for the pot of gold. Rolex marketing. Forward-thinking Rolex founders chose the name because it was easy to pronounce in most languages and was short enough to fit on the face of the watch, something that wasn't common at the time. Since then, marketing has largely been through the presence of the brand. In prestigious sports, the first woman to swim the English Channel was given a Rolex to wear during the swim. And when Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay summited Mount Everest, they wore Rolex watches. More recently, American actor and race car driver Paul Newman had a small collection of watches named after him. Rolex has been the official timekeeper at Wimbledon and the US Open for 40 years, and for Formula One for nearly a decade. That clever association with high-end sports is about the best marketing money can buy. If you've made it to the end of this video, thank you. If you'd like to support the channel, please like and subscribe.